Hey Fundraiser, I'm Mary Petersen, and this is Hey Fundraiser, the podcast for development professionals who are done guessing and ready to build a major gift program that actually works. Every week, I bring you the tactics, the language, and the real-world strategy to close bigger gifts, deepen donor relationships, and lead with confidence. Whether you're a one-person shop or a seasoned major gift officer, if you're ready to stop hoping and start engineering, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey Fundraiser, today is the day. So my second book, Small Table, Big Philanthropy, is officially out today. And I'll be honest with you, I woke up this morning and I felt something I wasn't really expecting. I mean, it wasn't nerves, it was a lot of excitement, but there was also something behind that excitement, something maybe quieter. I thought about you. I thought about fundraiser, the executive director that's listening to this right now in their car or on their walk to work, in the quiet before the office gets loud, trying to figure out how they're going to hit their number, wondering if any of it is working, carrying the weight of the mission on that they believe in on their shoulders, and a donor list that really isn't cooperating. Like, I wrote this book for that fundraiser, not as a credential, not as like a product launch. I wrote it because I've been doing this work for over 2 decades, and I know something that I want every fundraiser in the country to know. The donors you need are closer than you think. And my hope is that this brings you hope. The relationships that will transform your organization are already in front of you. You don't need a bigger list. You need a smaller table. And that's really what the book is about. So today is April 30th, 2026. And if you're a longtime listener, you've been hearing me talk a little bit about the book for the past couple podcasts. Today, it is in the world. And I want to do something a little different with this episode. I mean, I could give you a preview of the content. I could walk through the chapters. I could read you the table of contents. But what I really wanted to talk to you about is, like, fundraiser to fundraiser, is about what this book is, why I wrote it, and what I believe it can do for the people who actually use it. So let's just do that. Get your coffee, something stronger, whatever floats your boat, and let's go. So a few years ago, I was sitting in the back of a session at a national nonprofit conference. I mean, it was a packed room. There were probably 300 fundraisers, executive directors, board members, like all the people charged with raising revenue. And the speaker was genuinely good, right? Smart, experienced, well organized. Well, about 45 minutes into the keynote, she said something that stopped me cold. She said, the best way to build your major gift program is to expand your prospect pool, like cast a wider net. The more people you're cultivating, the more gifts you're going to close. And the room nodded. That 300 people in concert, they're nodding, they're all the things. But I sat there thinking, like, that's not right. Like, that's actually exactly wrong. And it's costing every single one of these organizations millions of dollars that they haven't raised yet. So I've been doing major gifts for 25 years. I have sat across from donors at every level, right? 10K, 100K, multi-million-dollar donors. And the single most consistent thing I have observed is this. The fundraisers who consistently close transformational gifts, and not even transformational, just major gifts, they're not the ones with the biggest portfolios. They're the ones that go the deepest with a few right prospects. They have a smaller table, and they know exactly who belongs at that table. Depth is going to beat volume every time, without exception. And that's what this book is about. That's the small table philosophy. And it isn't just a strategy, it's a completely different way of thinking about your work. So let me tell you another story. And this happened multiple times in my career, but this was one of the times that this idea kind of crystallized in my mind for me. So this was just a backyard dinner at a board member's home. I mean, maybe there were 10 people around a table. It was good food. It was a beautiful, warm evening. And it was just like very easy conversation. Now, my executive director was there. And also A donor who had been giving $1,000 for the last several years was also there. And over the course of that evening, like over dinner, over a glass of wine, over a conversation that wandered from the mission to family to what their worldview was, like something kind of shifted. And toward the end of that night, the donor leaned over to the executive director and quietly whispered, like, I want to do more. And I've been waiting for somebody to ask me. Anyway, long story short, she ended up making a $50,000 gift later that year. She had been giving $1,000 for, probably a decade. She had the capacity. She had the relationship with the organization. She loved this organization. And the only thing that had been missing was an invitation to the next step, like a seat at a smaller, more intentional table. She needed a conversation that felt like it was for her, not a room of 300 strangers or even 60 strangers at like a salon house event. So that story is in the book, and a version of it happens every single day at organizations across the country. The donors who are ready to give at transformational levels are already in your database. They're coming to your events. They're on your email list. Many are just waiting for you to invite them to the table, literally and figuratively. So this book teaches you how to set the table. Let me give you a feel for what's actually inside this book. So Small Table, Big Philanthropy is built around what I call the small table framework. And it really has three elements. There's the dinner, then there's the match, and then there's the upgrade. And it's the long game. And I can promise it is a lot of work, but I can also promise it is the right work. So first is the dinner, and it's the invitation. It's the moment you bring a very select group of donors and prospects together. And sometimes it's literally in a dinner at a board member's home. Sometimes it's a one-on-one coffee where you say, implicitly or explicitly, I see you, donor. Not just like as donor number, 426 on a spreadsheet, but I see you. And the dinner is about building the kind of relationship where the next conversation isn't a transaction. It's a continuation of something that's been growing for most likely years. Now, at that table, you want to raise some fairly significant cash, but it's also deep cultivation. I mean, you and I go deeply into this in the book, but you want to give that table something to wrestle with, a problem to help you solve. Because when donors lean in and they invest their time and their brain power, they tend to invest in the solution that they come up with. So you raise money that night, and essentially you put that money you raise up as a match. Now, I'm not going to give you all the details here, like you have to read the book for that. But the short version is this. The match is the specific strategy that takes the relationship that's been building at the $1,000 level and gives it an emotionally compelling reason to move to the $10,000 level. When you execute the match well, the upgrade doesn't feel like pressure. It feels more like an opportunity for the donor, and it feels really like the most natural next step. And the upgrade is exactly what it sounds like. It's the moment you say to someone, you have been with us, you have seen what we do, we see you as a valued partner, and we're ready to invite you into something bigger. It's not an ask for a favor. It's more of like a promotion in the relationship. It's recognizing someone's commitment and meeting them at the level of commitment. Underneath all of this is a bit of a staircase model. So every donor you will ever have, every major donor, started at a lower step, right? A $25 donation, a $100 donation, a $250 donation. Well, and then, when the relationship is right and they're feeling closer to the organization, a $1,000 annual gift comes that they've been making reliably for years. Your job, the actual job of a major gift fundraiser, is to build the staircase that makes each next step feel very natural and doable, and to keep inviting people up. Major gifts aren't leaps, they're stairs, and your job is to build the staircase. So, I want to talk a little bit about the 3-year rule. And when you read this book, it's really a 3-year strategy to completely transform not only your donor pool, but the revenue that comes into your organization. So I want to talk to you about Sandra. Now, Sandra is kind of a composite character in the book. I mean, she's based on several real donors and the fundraisers who finally figured out how to evolve the relationship and move them up the stairs. But her situation is one I have seen dozens of times in real organizations. Sandra's been giving $1,000 a year to a small arts organization for multiple consecutive years. Same amount, same time of year. She is reliable. She is appreciated. She is consistent. And for those years, the development director, Jenna, let's call her, sent the same acknowledgement letter, put Sandra on the same newsletter list, invited her to the same annual gala, like did all the things that Jenna thought to do, right? Like Sandra's not going to complain. She's just going to keep giving at the $1,000 level. And, I'm not bashing Jenna here, having sat in that seat for many years, you can only do so much. So, updating your acknowledgement letters, that like falls off the plate a lot. But here's what Jenna didn't know. Sandra was waiting. She had the capacity to give a 5-6 figure gift. She had the affinity. I mean, she genuinely loved the organization. She had the relationship. I mean, she knew the ED by name. The only thing she didn't have was an invitation up the staircase. And nobody gave it to her because nobody had a system for knowing that a donor who gives at the same level for 3+ consecutive years is waving a big flag that says, I'm ready for more. Like, please engage me. I call this the 3-year rule. And it's in the book in detail, like with the language you need, with the conversation framework, with everything you need to make that call on Monday morning. When Jenna finally made that call, when she finally sat down with Sandra and said, you've been with us for many years and that's meant a lot. I'd love to talk with you about a deeper partnership, what that might look like. Her next gift wasn't $1,000. It was $10,000. And not because she suddenly had more money, not because something had changed in her personal life. It was because for the first time, somebody treated her like a major donor. And people rise to the level that they're treated. Like, my gut is that your database is full of Sandras right now. And Small Table, Big Philanthropy is going to help you find them and engage them. So here's how you utilize this book. So you've ordered the book, or you're about to. Here's how I want you to use it. First, I want you to read it all the way through. Don't skip around. The chapters actually build on each other, and the staircase model only lands fully when you can kind of see the whole picture. Second, I want you to share it with your team. This is not a solo read. If you're an ED, read it with your development director. If you're a development director, read it with your ED. If you're a one-person shop, find a peer, a colleague, a board member, someone in your network and read it together, because the conversations that come out of reading it together are really where this shift is going to happen. Third, I want you to pick one of the actionable things and do it that week. Not the whole framework, just one step in the right direction. Like, maybe you make a list of every donor who has given the same level for the last 3+ consecutive years. Maybe you call a board member and ask who is in their personal network that cares about your mission. Maybe you start planning one intimate dinner gathering for the fall. I mean, not a gala, not a salon event, but a dinner for your top 8 relationships. I mean, just one thing this week, because that's how this works. It's not theory, it's action. I want you to have something to do on Monday morning. So in your next donor meeting, I want you to have something to pull out. In your next conversation with a donor, I want you to have the words. So as we're kind of closing this episode, There's a passage in the final chapter that I want to read to you because I mean it more than almost anything else I've said today. So here it is. Fundraiser, your work matters. You are the bridge between generosity and impact. You are the person who sits across from someone who has worked hard, built something, and is wondering where to put their resources to do the most good. And you are the one to show them the answer. That's not a small job. It is one of the most meaningful things you can do with your career. Small table, big philanthropy. Go deep, invite people in, and trust that when you love people and invite them into something meaningful, the money will always follow. That's it. That's the whole thing. So get your copy of Small Table, Big Philanthropy. I'll link it below, but you can also always go to heyfundraiser.com. Buy one for yourself, get one for your board chair, buy one for your ED. And if this episode meant something for you today, please share it with a fundraiser who is just at wit's end. My hope is that this strategy changes your year and your colleagues' year. Okay, fundraiser, see you next week. Fundraiser, thank you for being here. This work you do, it matters. You are the bridge between generosity and impact, and don't let anyone, including the hard weeks, convince you otherwise. If today's episode gave you something useful, please pass it along. One share, one text to a colleague, one review on Apple Podcasts. That's how this show reaches the people who need it most. Come find me at heyfundraiser.com, and I'll see you next Friday.